So let us put our hands over our eyes and just prepare ourselves. I open my eyes to see the spiritual truth today. And your ears, I open my ears to hear the spiritual truth today. And just extend out your arms. I open my heart to receive the spiritual truth today. The spiritual truth that I'm working with today is that all being is born of non-being. All being is born of non-being. That's the way Lao Tzu said it in the Tao Te Ching. All being is born of non-being. What it means is what we say all the time, and that is that everything is created twice. Everything is created twice. First in your imagination, and then in form. If you were to look around here and wherever your eye meets, you will notice that it was the second time it was created. These flags were created twice. The musicians' instruments were created twice. The very chair that you're sitting on was created twice. I was created twice. Your neighbor was created twice. You were created twice. Everything is created twice. First in imagination, and then in form. So that's where the non-being that Lao Tzu talks about is located. It's located in our imagination. It's the greatest gift that you could be given, is your imagination. Many of you are familiar with a quote that I use frequently from Henry David Thoreau. And the quote is this, and I think we have it good. If one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors to live a life which he has imagined, he will meet with success in uncommon hours. How many people here remember hearing Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's "I Have a Plan" speech? Okay? Nobody, because he never said it. He gave us the "I Have a Dream" speech because he wanted us to know that he was living in his imagination and he fully expected to be successful in uncommon hours. And look how far we've come. Certainly we're not there. Certainly that the 17-year-old white boy and a 17-year-old black boy are not judged by the content of their character. Still, they are being judged by the color of their skin. So we are not there, but look how far we have come because he said, "I have a dream." And that's what we're asking ourselves to do. In order to meet with success in uncommon hours, we have to do two things. We have to dream, and we have to live from our imagination, our imagined dream. Live from our life, from our imagination. Now, I have some help for us because most of us don't do that. Most of us are stuck in ordinary, and we started out this series. We're doing a series. We're in week 2 of a series based on the work of Dr. Wayne Dyer, his brand new book, Wishes Fulfilled, Mastering the Art of Manifestation. And the point of this book is to help us bring into our lives that which we want in our lives. And in the series, I spent the first week in the first couple of chapters, which is understanding the whole notion that we are God. We are not, it is not God and us, but God as us. So if that makes you uncomfortable, good. That's great. Because what that means is you have some embodying to do with this notion that you are spirit itself. Now, I'm not talking about your intellect. I'm not talking about your body. I'm not talking about your ego. I'm talking about the very spirit that is you is the same spirit that we call God. And when we can come from I am consciousness, it is so much easier for us to be able to understand how manifestation works. Well, the first thing we have to do is to get used to that. And we talked about that, and that's on CD if you want to go back and review it. But we need to ruminate around in this notion that I am. I am that I am. It's not God and me, it's God as me. Not the controlling God in the sky, not the God that we've been afraid of, not the God that gets to tell anybody else what to do or how to live, but the God within me that is pure love, that is pure spirit, that is pure power, that is in me, that is source, what we call source. Well, once we get past that and we're anchored in that, then we move on to 5 spiritual understandings and practices that will help us begin to work with this art of manifestation, because that's what it is. It's a technology. Manifestation is a spiritual technology that we can learn, and everybody can learn it. So there are 5 things we're going to work with over the course of this series, and today we're working with the greatest gift you were ever given, which is the gift of imagination. That's the very greatest gift you have ever been given. And Dwyer says this: we need to protect our imagination and nurture it. Protect it and nurture it. And in order to do that, he has some rules. Now, I'm always hesitant about talking about rules in a Science of Mind church because I know we're not rule people. We don't like rules. But so call them guidelines, call them suggestions, call them whatever you want. But Dyer calls them rules because he wants to get that outside of this, we're not going to be able to fully use the art of manifestation. So the first rule in protecting and nurturing your imagination is never place into your imagination any thought that you do not want to materialize. Do not place into your imagination any thought you don't want to materialize. Now look, thoughts come out. They just happen. You know, you're walking along and you're fine and you're good and you're on task, and then something comes up. That's not what I'm talking about. That's going to happen to you. It's not your first thought you have to worry about. It's your second thought and beyond. Don't put that, have the thought, oh my God, you know, the sky's going to fall. Okay, I had that thought, but I'm not going to put it in my imagination. My mother was always worried she was going to end up in the poorhouse. That was her worry, and she worried about it all the time. Now, my father worked on a shipyard. He had a pension, and we would tell her. And in the town I grew up, Napa, there was a poorhouse. When she was a child, it was an active poorhouse where they put poor old people to go and live. And it wasn't a great place, and the building was still there. It was turned into something else, but she knew where it was. We all knew where it was because it was in her imagination. Oh, that's where I'm going to end up. And she would ruminate it. Now, no matter what we said, my dad had a pension. She worked as a florist all of her life, so she had Social Security. And she had 3 children, 2 of whom would have taken her in to live if she needed it. I can't help it. I'm just going to be honest with you here. Okay? So there was no worry for her to go in the poorhouse, but she had that in her imagination, and she worked it, and she worked it, and she worked it. I know I see people in my office who are planting the thought of an unfaithful spouse in their imagination. And they're working it, and they're working it, and they're working it. See, don't place any thought in your imagination that you do not want to materialize. It's the wrong use of the gift. Worry is a form of imagination. It's the wrong use of the gift, the greatest gift that you have ever been given. The second one is never allow your imagination to be contaminated with what your life used to be like. Some of us in this room, and myself included, had lives that were at one time a mess. Whether you have been a person who was in prison, whether you're a person who was in the gutter behind drugs and alcohol, whether you're a person who got caught in that terrible disease of not enoughism, whatever your life was like at one point in your life, it's not where it needs to be, not where it has to be right now. Don't allow what used to be to contaminate your imagination. It's very powerful for us to be able to stay present right where we are and to know that right now, this moment, this particular Sunday, we can allow our imagination to take us wherever we are or wherever we were to success in uncommon hours, bountiful success that we can have. What can damage our imagination is a belief about ourselves that's not true. You are whole, perfect, and complete. That's not just what I say on Sunday. You are whole, perfect, and complete. And no matter what you've been told about yourself, don't allow that to contaminate your imagination. You know, you may be saying something like, I'm just too sensitive. That's contaminating your imagination. I've never been good with money. Contaminating your imagination. Those are beliefs and thoughts that you have. I always scream at my kids. Stop saying that. That's not true about you. And we don't want it contaminating anything it doesn't. A Buddhist tells a story about being in a supermarket and a little boy knocks a carton of milk off onto the ground and it splits and rolls, the milk goes all over, and his mother yells at him, "You're stupid." And another little boy not 2 minutes away drops a jar of honey, and it also breaks and goes all over, and the mother says, "That was a very stupid thing that you did." See, one child is going to grow up and have to make sure his imagination is not contaminated with feelings of being stupid, and another is going to get some information about how to handle honey more successfully. Whatever your parents told you about yourself does not belong in your imagination, does not belong in the greatest gift. So your imagination can undergo a complete overhaul right now, today. Replace those old ideas of I've always been this way, or I'm just that way, it's just my nature, with the great I am. I am. Whatever it is that is the opposite of what you've been told. Dyer says, he reminds us of what the great Saint Germain says, and that is, I am the conquering presence. I am the conquering presence. Say that with me. I am the conquering presence. And just keep saying that over and over and over again. Every time you go into that, whatever that message was, so that you protect your imagination. Rule number 3 to protect and nurture your imagination is to stay strong in the reminder that your imagination is yours and yours alone. Nobody gets to put anything in your imagination, and nobody gets to take anything out of your imagination. It is your imagination and nobody else's. You need to be paying a big sign on it that says, do not disturb. Do not disturb my imagination. It's mine, and nobody else gets to come in. See, a lot of times people try and get into our imagination with information and ideas and stuff that pleases them because they want us to do something that they want done, or they want us to be someone that they want us to be. Protect your imagination. It is yours and yours alone. Because when people start telling you in your imagination that it's not possible, what we do is we begin to resize our wish, we resize our desire down to something that will please what's possible for them. Let me give you a few examples of people who did things that somebody said wasn't possible. Dr. Seuss's first children's book was rejected by 23 publishers. The 24th publisher sold 6 million copies. See, and 24 were telling him, not possible, can't do it. After having been rejected by both Hewlett-Packard and Atari, Apple Microcomputers had their first year sales at 2.5 million. So they were not willing to be told, get that out of your imagination, it's too big. They just kept with it until they found somebody who they could do it with. Marathoner Joan Benoit underwent knee surgery only 17 days before the U.S. Olympic trials. But her determination enabled her not only to make the team, but also to win the first Olympic gold medal ever in her event. See, people will tell you things aren't possible. There are people in this room who have diagnoses that are scary diagnoses. Don't let anybody, diagnosis is just mathematics. Don't let people tell you what is possible and what is not possible. In the first 3 years of his automobile business, Henry Ford went bankrupt twice. Wasn't possible. He said, I'm doing it a third time. Let me see if it's possible. I love this one the best, though. Charles Goodyear was obsessed with the idea of making rubber unaffected by temperature extremes. Years of unsuccessful experimentation caused bitter disappointment, imprisonment for debt, family difficulties, and ridicule from friends. He persevered, and Goodyear discovered that adding sulfur to rubber achieved his purpose, and now we have tires. See, he wasn't willing, and he lost his whole entire family. He was put in the poorhouse. He was put in jail for debt, but he wasn't willing to dummy down. He wasn't willing to make it so that it could not work for him. Your imagination is always available, and here is where it is the most fertile. When you step out of its common use and go beyond what you think is normal, beyond what you think is ordinary, that's when it is the juiciest, when your imagination will work the hardest for you. When you get fully into that I am presence now, you don't have to do anything to be into the I am presence now. God didn't say to Moses, tell him I will be. He said, no, I am. Tell him I am now, right now. And that's where you are. We want you to muck around in the far-fetched. We want you to muck around in the impossible. And here's the thing we want to remember. When you are mucking around in something that seems impossible, that seems too big to take on, keep mucking around. Don't worry about what other people are thinking, because remember, nobody can get into your imagination. They don't know what you're thinking until you're ready to tell them. And my recommendation is, if you're really mucking, if you're in the I am presence and you're mucking around and you say, you know what, I am going to be a musical star. I'm going to be a musical star. And you think, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to do, well, how will I ever do that? Keep mucking around in it. And allow your imagination to drive you. And if you must tell somebody, call a practitioner in this church. Practitioners, please stand. See, tell one of these people. They'll never roll their eyeballs at you. They never will. They'll never tell you it's too big. You may sit down. They'll never tell you it's too big an idea. They will say, tell me more about that. Tell me more about that. It's a powerful thing, this idea of our imagination. Many of you have heard me say the phrase, we are spiritual beings living in a spiritual universe governed by spiritual laws, having a human experience. When you are in the I am presence and your imagination is mucking around in something big, what happens is you're experiencing your spiritual being and allowing yourself to have more manifestation than when we are not doing that. We're closer to our spirit being than our human being, and our manifestations will come to us in uncommon hours. What we once called coincidence, we don't call coincidence around here. We call that it is the representations of the divine presence are working with you for your good. We say, God, that all things are possible. We like that, we say it. But do we really know what it means? Do we really break it down and understand that there is an energy that is cooperating and even steering us in the direction of our dreams. Sometimes when I talk about God as energy, we think it's just energy standing still and moving and vibrating right where it is. But that's not the energy I'm talking about. That energy is happening, but it's also moving us. It's like this. If you were this cart and you had a dream that you wanted to make manifest in your dream, it's like if you will stay on it, then the universe, God, Allah, the source, will begin to steer you and give you the energy. Now, it's not going to push you. It's going to simply steer you. And if you are having a worry and you want to go off course, the source will not stop you. It will just wait until you get back on. If you are confident in your imagination and in your dream and strong in your dream, it will just keep pushing you. It will never stop. It won't tell you what dream to have. But if you have the dream, if your imagination is allowing you to have the dream, then the source will continue to push you. If you get scared and you want to stop, it'll stop with you until you're ready. And when you're ready, it will go with you. Now, we don't teach angels here. We don't not teach angels either. We just stay away from the whole subject of angels because we believe that everything on this side of the veil and the other side of the veil is simply spirit, including us and whoever is on the other side. Now, I am beginning to work with this concept after reading this book that some of my spirit guides, you could call them angels, you can call them spirit guides, you could call it love inform, you can call them angels, you can call whatever you want, that some of those spirit guides are actually, if I will allow it, if I don't let worry to get me off course or fear to paralyze and stop me, if I will allow my spirit guides, my angels, to keep working with me, they will continue to guide me in the direction of my dreams. So here's what he says. The presence of angels to lift you up when you are down, to rearrange things so that what seems like enigmatic, unexplainable circumstances are reality. Healing that seems blessedly baffling and the confounding showing up of financial aid at precisely the right moment it is needed. The perplexing arrival of a book containing the information you've been desiring but had been eluding you. The unexpected phone call that gives you the answers you've been seeking. The sudden healthy shift in behavior of a loved one who is seemingly lost. The possibilities are endless. Congruency with the creative source of the universe. In your own divine imagination makes what you wish not only probable, but dead on inevitable. Dead on inevitable. When we are working with this energy of the presence that is with us. But remember, the energy is gentle. It is just saying, go on, come on, go ahead, go ahead. Oh, you saw something shiny over there? Okay, well, I'll just wait. I'll just wait. Oh, you're back? Okay, come on, come on, come on. When we begin to work with those images and know that the presence of God is divinely guiding us all of the time, and when we stay in the presence of the I Am, what we're doing is we're bringing onto the planet that which the planet wants and needs. And that's what God does. That's what God does. So this week, I invite you to invite the mysterious into your life. Invite those experiences to happen to you. Whether you want to call them angels or spirit guides or just whatever you want to call them that. But invite them in and see what begins to happen as long as you're holding an imagination. In imagination, a dream. In your imagination, and you're working with it, and you're cultivating it in your life. The Spirit of God is love. And the Spirit of God that is love wants for you what you want. Even though in 6 months you may think, what did I want that for? You needed that experience. So it's going to say to you again, what do you want? Come on, I'm here to help you. Let's take this message into prayer. Knowing that there is a power and a presence that is within us. It is called Spirit. It is called God, Allah, Elohim, the sacred grandmother tree. It is the higher power that we are. It is not God and me. It is God as me. It is not God and you. It's God as you. And I give thanks for this. I give thanks for this knowledge. I give thanks for the love. I give thanks for my willingness and your willingness to try it. I give thanks. I release this word into the law, and together we say, and so it is.